Welcome to another free mini tutorial brought to you by AccessLearningZone.com. I am your instructor, Richard Rost. In this lesson, I'm going to show you how to put a form footer total on the bottom of your forms using the sum function. Now, I have a basic table for tracking service calls. It's got a service date, a description, hourly rate, total hours, the service charge, which is the total amount of the service charge, the customer's address, and so on. What I'd like to be able to do is get a total for all of my service charges. In order to do that, I have to put this information into a form, specifically a continuous forms, and then use the sum function, because you can't do this with a table or query. So I'm going to go to Forms, and then New. I'm going to pick AutoForm Tabular, and then pick my service call table as the record source. I'll hit OK, and then the wizard will build for me a tabular or continuous form. This is a continuous or tabular form. Each record isn't on this page at a time. You can see all of the records just like in table format here. Essentially what this does is, if you look at the properties, if you go into Design View and look at the table properties by double clicking right here on this little box, if you go to the All tab, you'll find one of the properties in here, default view, is set to continuous forms as opposed to the normal, which is single form. But continuous forms let you see all the records at a time on the page. Now, what we have to do to see a total down here is to turn on the form header and footer. Now I can see there's already a form header across the top here. That's where these little labels are sitting. Let's go into Design View again. You can see here's the form header. Now if this wasn't on, if you're working with your own form, just go to View and then Form Header and Footer. You can see it's already checked on for us though. But there's the form header. The form footer's down here. It's just tiny. It's got no height. So just click right here with your mouse and drag it down, and there's the form footer. Now what we have to do down here in the form footer is put a text box with a calculation in it. The calculation is this service charge field right here. I want to sum them all up, right? So I'm going to cheat. I'm just going to copy and paste this text box. Watch this. I got it highlighted. I'm going to go copy, Control C, click down here in the form footer and go paste, Control V. See, I just copied and pasted it. I'm going to move this over here. Double click on it to open up its properties. Okay? It's a new text box. It's now called Text 20. Alright, you can give it whatever name you want to. I'm going to call this Sum of Service Charge. Now right now the control source just says Service Charge. Okay? Which is one specific field. But I don't want just one specific field. I want to sum up all of the service charges on this form. All of them. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to change this slightly. I'm going to come right in front of it here, and I'm going to say equals the sum of the service charge by putting service charge in parentheses, and then hit Tab. Now Access will throw little square brackets around the name service charge. That's okay, but it's basically the same thing. It's equals sum service charge in parentheses. Okay, this says sum up all of the service charges, and of course we're just going to call this text box sum of service charge. You might want to make it a little bit bigger just in case the value is large. Now, save the form. Alright, I'll call this my service call list F, or whatever you want to name it. That's not important. And then take a look at it in form view. And now, down on the bottom of the form in the form footer, there's my total. Now, most importantly, when this changes up here, let's say this becomes 120, notice my form footer updates as soon as I leave the record. See? There we go. And yes, there's events and stuff that you can do to make it so it's immediate, but we're not going to talk about that in today's lesson. You can do something called an after update event to automatically change that and refresh this, but that's a different lesson. For now, it's okay to just realize that when you leave the record, this information here is updated for you. But that is how you create a form footer with a total in it. Now, of course, I'm only scratching the surface in this mini tutorial. There's a lot more that you can do with form footers, sum functions. There's all kinds of other functions you can put in there to figure out the minimum value, maximum value, averages, standard deviation, all that good stuff. I start covering stuff like this in my 300 level series of Access tutorials. Just go to accesslearningzone.com !GOAC301. I cover this specific example in that class, but I cover lots more stuff too, including some VBA programming and other great material in my Access tutorials. And of course, don't forget to stop by the website accesslearningzone.com /tips for more free tutorials just like this one.